Oh, never mind, she's right there. Just kidding. I didn't see her standing there.
Well, she's never had the time to do it. She's home at 9 o'clock and we shower in the bed. That's like she said, the hour and a half at school. She'll figure it out. She failed. B is failing in college classes. With double GPA.
Start the meeting. Suddenly, you call about prayer.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Will you pray with me? Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day. We just ask you to be with us as we do the business for these kids. And Father God, I just thank you for the great win on Saturday. Go Longhorns. Amen.
Oh, how about Friday night?
I got my jersey ready.
I'm waiting
I
here.
like Florida.
Hey, gotta give the man credit.
Well, this is, we're glad to be back in the high school and glad to be back doing stars with school starting back. We want to recognize some of our kids. And so right now, we're going to start with volleyball, and I want everybody to give a big hand for our head coach, Miss Green. Give her a hand. So I'm going to let you introduce your assistants, and I'm going to let you introduce the girls.
Okay.
And they'll come up here and we'll do a picture.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
All right, my assistant coach, Jamie Hickey. And my other assistant, McKenna Spikes. And players, Gracie Barnett. Ayana Whiteside. Lisa Lester. Kenzie Olgen. Emery Brandon. Tyler Simpson. Dakota Kay. And
So I asked the coach to have the girls come up here because this is our best start since 2005, our best start, and very proud of these girls. I'm proud of the coaches. We've had kind of a rough go the last few years. I know since I've been here, we haven't seen a lot of success, and I'm very proud of you young ladies. You've done an amazing job, and we're behind you let's go to the playoffs. Keep moving forward, all right? Give them a hand. Squeeze in. I didn't get a picture. Yes, but hold on. We didn't get our district picture. Hold on 1 second.
Brady's on the late morning.
Yes. 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Play tomorrow at Iowa Park, right?
Yes, sir.
And then Friday at Bowie at 4:30.
Yes.
All right? Okay. All right, very good. So next, I'm going to mess this up. I always call you the flag girls, but give me the right name. Color guard. I'm going to try to remember that. color guard, and the band went to Dallas Cowboy Field. What is it called? AT&T Stadium. And you went Monday, Tuesday, right? And you performed and you got third place, right? Third place. So give them a hand. They did a great job. So I'm going to let you introduce these amazing young ladies.
Okay.
All right?
We have Trinity Brewer,
Come on up.
Riley Newland, Riley Emmons, and our captain,
Come on now.
Cassie Ruby.
You look great. Move on down to the middle. Here's your Mustang. I'm sorry. And so if you want to see our band and these young ladies this Saturday at 2:30, right? 2:30? So go out to the stadium and let's support our band. They're
2:15.
2:15.
Well, I actually marked like 2:23 or something, so I'll take the field at 2:15.
I would get there at 2 just to be on the safe side. So I'm very proud of you, young ladies. Let's do a picture. You ready? Okay. 3, 2. All right. I think that is who I had invited, but we have others here. Let's go to Ag. Do you have some?
I have, but they're not here.
Okay, go ahead. We didn't have school today, so we are missing some of our kiddos.
We had 4 people. This is actually back from our State of Faith convention in July. We had 4 students who earned the Lone Star FFA degree. Less than 2% of FFA members statewide earned this degree. We had Autumn Mitchell and Emmanuel Huerta earn it, the current students. And then we also had 2 students, Ariel Nader, who graduated, as well as Scobie. Chara, thank you. Chara Scobie. Those 4 earned the FFA. So 2 former students now and 2 current students have earned the Lone Star degree. Previous year we didn't have any, so it's really exciting that we have some. And then Miss Lippy is the teacher who has been helping those students with their Lone Star degree. So
Very good.
very proud of them.
So how many Texas FFA members are there?
We're just over 120,000.
120,000. So 2% of that 120,000. That's pretty impressive. Very, very impressive. All right, thank you for that. Are you ready? Because I see a bunch of kids here, and you're going to have to help me to sort this out.
Like Mr. Rashawn said, with kids not being here today, but thank you, Ms. Filbert, for bringing your books. That was awesome. So we want to recognize them. Also, Mr. Lavelle, who had a prior commitment, tonight is not here, but he is sponsoring one of our newest clubs. It's the esports club. So if you were here for esports, if you will come up here, I do I want to give you all some background on our esports participants. So again, it's one of our newest things. It's really growing over the state. And basically, what they do with Mr. Lavelle is they have practices after school, and they, correct me if I get any of this wrong, because I'm going off the information that he gave me. So basically what they're able to do is they create a varsity team and a JV team. They had tryouts at the beginning of the year, and they do meets and they play against other schools across the state. And so the reason why we wanted to recognize our teams is we have our varsity Super Smash Brothers team, which basically what they do is they're playing video games against other schools in a competitive fashion for things such as scholarships or money that goes towards scholarships. One of the great things about this is with academic or extracurricular events, a lot of times you have to travel and figure out a budget for that. They're able to do that actually from right here at our campus and then connect remotely anywhere inside Texas, outside of Texas. And so that Super Smash Brothers team right now, currently, correct me if I'm wrong, y'all are number 2. Is that right? Number 2 out of over 100 schools across the state. The other event, and basically what they're doing is they're using these events and then looking at UIL adopting these in. And so is through Rocket League, we have a varsity Rocket League team. And again, I think I'm right in saying that right now I'm number 1. Right, number 1 in the state of Texas. Again, and I have I think most of them were able to make it, but I do want to recognize all of them. On the Rocket League team, it's Zane Jones, Dion Freeman, Christopher Daugherty, Daniel Sawyer, and then Super Smash Brothers on our varsity team is Lucas Pearson, Devin Salas, and Angel Rodriguez. And then that JV team, Alexander Moore, Hayden Hammers, Brady Kepler, and Salar Foshi. So again, it's something that we hope to grow, but it's something we just started, and we are already at the very top of the state. So congratulations.
Great job.
Daniel, get your hands out your pockets. All right, right here. 3, 2, 1.
Great job, guys.
I'll say I checked those records, and there's schools, Allen, all the Lubbock schools, all the Rivals in there. They're competing against 6A, 5A schools, and they're still top of class. So.
Wow.
Good job, guys.
For you parents that, who are the parents of those boys that were up here? Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something. MSU, they are so serious about this event that they went in and built dorms and they built a center just for gaming. And I'm understanding that they're putting a lot of money towards it with scholarships. So you guys continue to work hard, and I think you're going to do well. Okay? All right.
So Daniel. What was your shirt?
Oh.
I hate this. I'll make them all happy too. So Daniel, Daniel approached me back in March, April last year. It's been a while, February, and he was working on an Eagle Scout project, and so he and his parents met with me. We talked about some ideas, and thanks to his Eagle Scout project, the elementary now has an incredible dog-out pit that is probably the most popular thing on our campus right now. So I want to thank you for the time and the effort that you put in, because our kids are absolutely loving it. So thank you very much. Hold your shirt up.
Let us see the Life Scout piece. Come on.
Thank you.
There you go. Now you got
Thank you for that.
Oh,
And,
Not done.
no, you're not done.
all right, 3, 2, 1.
And his brother just met with me, and he is beginning an Eagle Scout project. This is actually something I was going to share as our good news. He's going to be building us some raised flower beds, so that'll be up and coming really soon.
Very good. Thank you. So when you finish, we need you to come back and let's get pictures and have a Mustang War. All right? Who else do you have here? No.
I think we've got cross country.
Cross country's here. Come on up, Rudy, because I don't see Coach Schellenberg here. So why don't you tell us about these 2 young men that are running cross country for us?
Yeah, these 2 guys, cross country meets early in the morning, so they're running while everybody else is asleep. We also had a girls group that did really well. But these 2 young men ran today in district and finished 3rd and 5th overall out of it, which advanced them to regionals in 2 weeks in Lubbock. So they've had a great year so far. They brought home a lot of medals this year, and it's definitely a sport that takes a lot of dedication when you want to get up early to run. Something I never did. So, if you guys would come up, it's Tristan Hickman and Jude York.
Give them a
Dude, you have your medal?
So what would he know?
Why you guys not gonna show your stuff off? You're gonna bring one back from regionals, right? Thanks, guys. All right, did we miss anybody else? Yes. Okay, well, that's great. Do you, Ms. Miller is going to recognize, since he's not here, you want to recognize him?
I can.
Okay.
Mr. Spencer, one of these kids recognized for their leadership skills and how they are dedicated to the band program and everything we're trying to accomplish this year. Keegan Holloman's our drum major. Antonia Ricarte. And Briley Smith.
I'm going to tell you three, and you can take this back to the band. Friday night was amazing. You did a great job. I was very impressed. To see where you've come from, and since August when we heard you the first time till now, I mean, it's amazing. You got to understand they're very young. I think you have how many seniors? Like three? Three seniors and a handful of juniors. And they're all 8th graders, 8th, 9th, and 10th graders. And they're out there representing us. And I think they're here on Monday nights working. They're here in the mornings working. It's constant that the band is working. And it's paying off. And you were there for our football team the other night, in the stands. And every time that they started moving the football down the field, you'd get loud with some music. And it helps. So we appreciate all that. Tell your band that, okay? I'm going to come down and get a picture real quick. Okay. So, you have a speech?
No.
All right. Anybody we've missed? Okay, well, before we move on with the board meeting, you're more than welcome to stay, or you can leave at this point. It's up to you. All right?
Go to bed. Bye. It's all reset. All right, Carly. Somebody left their keys.
I see that. I'm surprised. That's exactly.
Consent agenda. These items are considered to be routine by the board and will be enacted under one motion. Unless a member of the board requests that an item be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. A, minutes from previous meeting. B, amend budget and outstanding bills.
I make a motion we accept the consent agenda as presented.
I second it.
All in favor? Okay. 22-10-3 annual investment review.
Debbie, you want to talk about that?
Yes. Okay, every year about this time we have to do a review of our local investment policy, which I'll have a copy of it on here. Over there. Currently, our investment officers are the superintendent and myself. Those are designated by this policy. We are allowed to only invest in certain instruments, and some of those are certificates of deposits, collateralized purchase agreements, securities, bankers' acceptances, commercial paper, no load mutual funds, and public fund investment pools. Currently, all we have all our stuff in right now is investment pools, pretty much. We are limited on time deposits to a maturity of 180 days. And, that's pretty much it. We just need to have it approved as to whether or not you want to continue on with this local policy or if you want to make changes to it.
Motion to approve, continuing on with what we are doing.
I make a motion that we continue on with what we were doing. I second.
All in favor? Okay. 22-10-4-20, 2021-22 audit presentation of American Flame and Andy PC.
So Mark is with us tonight, and Mark, is this your third audit? Third audit with us, and we had to search high and low to find an auditor. They're hard to find, and he comes from Abilene, and he brings his team with him, and they spend about 6 to 7 days with us through the course of the year. And so I'm going to turn it over to you, but I want to thank you for your diligence and hard work for our district.
Thank you, appreciate it. We're very grateful to be able to do this work for you, so thank you also. The audit went very well. Debbie and others in the administration was very helpful, got us everything that we needed. The files, the records were all in good shape, and so we were able to do the work we needed to do without any problems. So that's good news. We issued a letter to the board, and in that letter, the purpose of the letter is to identify findings that we had. Is predominantly what that's for. We didn't have any findings, so I'm not going to spend any time with that. But there also were a few audit adjustments that are attached to that letter. Nothing that was of a concern to us as auditors, but things that we needed to get adjusted for the report itself. So then in the report, the two things that I'm going to look at is one, the letters that are on our letterhead on here, and then two, a few of the numbers that I think are important. So if you have the report on page 2 is the independent auditor's report, and the second paragraph of that report is the opinion. And so we issued a clean audit opinion, or unmodified audit opinions, it's also called. And so that's what you want for your auditors to put on the front of your report, and we did, so that's good. On the financial statements themselves, starting on page 11, their statement of net position shows assets, deferred outflows of resources, liabilities, deferred inflows, and then net position. And the items on here that are significant, I think, is one, your capital assets. You added $5.4 million in capital assets this year, which is a lot. And we're able to do that. On this page, there's a line in net position that's called net investment in capital assets. And when we look at that, it's over $13 million. And that represents your capital assets less your debt. And the reason we look at that is because oftentimes when you purchase large capital assets, you use bonds or other debt to do that. So we're looking to see that that number is positive as the assets depreciate and the debt is paid down, that your assets are above the debt, and you are by $13 million, which is great, really good. You have two restricted items. One, you have $1,175,000, and that's for debt service. That represents your debt service fund balance. And then you have $283,876 federal and state programs, and that relates to your food service. So you've got a fund balance in there as well. On page 13 is the balance sheet for the governmental funds, and I'm not going to look at every page in here, by the way. Just a couple of them. But the reason I point this one out, this is the balance sheet for the governmental funds. That first column is your general fund, and that is likely where you spend a lot of your effort when you set the budget and during the year when you're amending the budget. So your fund balance ended at $6,441,798. That represents a $238,000 increase year over year. And if you look back on page 43, the budget to actual for the general fund is what that page is, and you were able to be under budget in every single function category, which is what you're supposed to do, but many districts don't. And so that's a testament to y'all paying attention, and also Debbie or the people in the administration bringing to you the actuals versus budget and letting you know when you need to make any amendments. So that's a good accomplishment for all of y'all. And then the last two things I'm going to look at in the back of this report are, again, on our letterhead. The first one on page 56 is relates to controls. And when we do our testing, we look at controls over disbursements. We look at a sample of payroll. We look at almost all capital expenditures, all debt expenditures, and a sample of everything else. And so, and depending on the single audit, we will, in addition, have to focus on one particular federal fund each year, or two sometimes. But this page indicates that we did not find any material weaknesses in the controls. And in all of the things that we looked at, for the payroll, people's gross pay was what was supposed to be paid by personnel files, and the net pay was correctly calculated, so we didn't have any issues with that. And then with all of the other disbursements, we match up invoices or whatever the support document is to the check, make sure that the check's signed correctly, made out to the right vendor for the right amount, that it's paid in a timely manner, and we didn't have any issues with any of that either. So that's what that report is. And then the final one relates to the single audit. And it's because you spend $750,000 or more in federal money, you're required to have a single audit. And a single audit is federal required extra testing, essentially, for compliance with whatever their compliance requirements are. And each federal fund has different requirements, but this letter indicates that we have no findings and no issues with any of the single audit items either. So overall, a very good report and a really good year financially. So congratulations on that. I'm done.
Thank you.
Unless you have questions.
Appreciate it.
Any questions?
Just need to approve now the audit.
As
Make a
presented.
motion that we make, approve the audit for 2021-2022 year as presented. I didn't hear.
2210-6, discuss and approve merit McLean and Hamby PC to perform the 22-23 financial audit.
We would like to rehire them to do this year's audit.
I make a motion that we hire them to do our next year's audit.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
You heard us, yeah, as soon as she signs.
Appreciate it.
Sherry's getting that ready.
Okay, so each year, we are legally required to review our ESL program, that's our English as a Second Language students, because we do receive Title IV funding, from the federal government. We are supposed to talk about our enrollment in the ESL program, how we go about spending our money, and then also how the students are performing on their TELPAS. And then I'll also talk to you about our certifications with our teachers. So to start out, this first graph basically just shows you our enrollment. The purplish color is last year and the blue is this year. And so you kind of expect those students to track each year moving forward. I will tell you that we've had a significant growth in our ESL program this year over last. The reason is twofold. One is because we've had an overall increase in enrollment, period. So when you have an overall increase in your enrollment, you're going to see those programs get a little bigger. The reason that's important is because when we get to STAR testing time, you have to have a certain number of students in a subpopulation for those students' scores to count for or against you in accountability. Last year, we didn't have enough students in the district for the subpop of ESL to count for or against us. Now we do. So it's going to be extremely important for our teachers to make sure that they are serving these kids who are what are considered emergent bilinguals, students who speak English as their second language. The second reason is because we are doing a much better job of identifying these students early on whenever we see red flags or whenever we see a student struggling. Upon enrollment into a Texas school for the first time, the parent fills out what's called a home language survey, and that basically just says that they speak something other than English in the home. And whenever the parent indicates that, we follow up with questions. That also means that we test those students on their English proficiency, even as young as the pre-K level. But last year we had some older students identified into our program as well. So our program is growing. Because of that, we have, last year we decided to give a stipend to one of our teachers down at the elementary, Mrs. Laycock, and she is the one that has been charged with testing our students who might be identified as EBs. And then she also helps work alongside the classroom teachers to make sure that she's providing additional support to them so that the students can receive the support they need. And then the teachers who are currently serving emergent bilinguals, last year we were able to add a small stipend to their salary at the end of the year as a way of thanking them for providing those students with additional support. As far as TELPAS results go, our kids were a little bit stagnant last year. They didn't go backwards, which is great, but they didn't really progress. We didn't have anyone exit out of the program, but that's not really just a City View problem. Statewide, we're seeing a decrease in student performance in the listening and speaking components of the TELPAS. They're graded on reading, writing, listening, and speaking, and the listening and speaking components used to be graded holistically, which means their classroom teacher would provide them with a score. Now it's taken on the computer. So like the speaking component, the student literally is given a prompt such as, explain to me how to tie your shoes. And the student would have to write out what they want to say and then answer into a microphone. They speak, explain how to tie their shoes. That is really challenging for someone who is learning how to speak English. And I would challenge you to ask a 7th grade, any English speaking 7th grader, anyone who English is their first language, explain to me how to tie your shoes. You're going to get a lot of yeah. So one of the concerns that's been brought up to the state as a whole is don't hold our EB students to a standard that you don't hold your primary English speaking students to.
So they are looking at it across the state because, like I said, that is an area that we need to have some improvement in. However, the reading and writing components are doing well. They track pretty close to the STAR results. So a student who does well on STAR in reading and writing typically does well in the top house as well. In terms of our teacher certification, as a district, we require all of our English teachers to be ESL certified. We do have 2 in the district right now who are not currently certified. So I did have to fill out a waiver for the state that basically just says these 2 teachers are not currently certified to teach ESL students. However, this is our plan of action. Both of those teachers have registered to take the test in November. I suspect both of them will pass, but I did have to go ahead and fill out that waiver because the deadline was November 1st, and they will be taking their test later in November. So those students who are in those teachers' classrooms receive additional support through RTI, Ms. Laycock down at the elementary, and Mrs. Martin up here at the junior high. So those kids are still watched over and taken care of. Does anyone have any questions about our ESL program, certification, where the money goes?
Thank you.
Can you guys see the TV?
It's okay.
No.
Well, y'all need to see this one because it's good. So back in August, the state released our official report cards, and it is a legal requirement that I review those report cards with the public and with you. So you've already heard the information, so this just kind of checks the box to say that we did it officially. But if you have information about how City View compares against other schools in the state, you can get all of this information from texasschools.gov. It's also on our website. So before I get into ours, I want to just talk to you very quickly about how that report card grade is calculated. It's based off student achievement, which basically means the STAR test at the elementary school. How much do students know? It's rated on school progress. So it's the STAR test. How much better did students do this year versus last year? Or how do we compare against other schools that are like us? It's one or the other, not both. And then the third component is closing the gaps. This is also a STAR test component for the elementary. Do performance gaps exist among different groups of students? Like what I was talking about before with those ESL kids. This domain is a federal requirement. It requires us to drill down to specific student groups such as Hispanic, non-Hispanic, 2 or more races, male, female, low socioeconomic versus Gen Pop. So it requires you to look at the student individually, not just as a whole grade level. So at the elementary, our overall demographics were 76.8% eco-disc last year. This comes into play in that second domain where I said that we look at our school versus other schools like us. When they compare us, they're looking at our eco-disc population, our special ed population, and our ESL population. You can see that our special ed population is at 18% and our ESL is at 2.1%.
Which I want to add, it is a very fair system. The state puts you with 39 other schools of comparable, not exactly, but very close to what we look like. So to me, it's very fair. You're going to see in a minute that we did very well against those other schools in the elementary.
So for the elementary, again, that first domain is the STAR test. What did kids know? This is solely based on how they did on their STAR test. It takes math, reading, science, and at the elementary they don't have social studies tests. So it's the math, reading, and science, and they take overall, how did we do? And that student achievement score was a 74 out of 100. school progress, how much better did students do this year versus last year? Or how did we do compared to other schools like us? So for academic growth, how much better did we do than last year? We were at a 91 out of 100, which means that 91% of our students showed growth over last year's performance, and that is phenomenal. So they got an A on that component. The other component is relative performance, so how did we do versus other schools like us, and that was an 81 out of 100. So between those two scores, you don't keep both of them, you keep the higher of the two. So at the elementary campus, they kept the 91 for domain 2. For domain 3, closing the gaps, how do we compare, or how did we do when you compare the individual student groups when you're looking at race, ethnicity, ECODIS, gender? And this one just looks at reading and math because those are the only tests that are consistent from grade level to grade level. And we got a 77 out of 100 on that one. So the overall rating from the elementary, they take those 3 components, they average them together, do some little magic, TEA magic with the number, and we get an 87 out of 100. So as you have heard previously, the elementary earned their B, very well deserved. And I would point out that this was primarily because of the growth. That 91 is really what boosted their score. So those teachers drilling down and getting to how can we do better and how can we help each other, the RTI process, the special education process, looking at where are the gaps coming out of COVID and taking care of that growth is what helps the elementary out. So very well deserved.
And before you move on to, I just want to add that, you know, when Rhonda had to be told 3 years ago that she was in the bottom 5% of the state, to go from that in 3 years to where we are today, through COVID, there's not many school districts who increased, especially increased the way we did.
Well, and I would point out that the reason that we went into IR 3 years ago, 4 years ago, however many eons ago that feels like, it was because of this closing the gaps domain, the federal domain. That was what was an F. And we got it up to a 77, which is phenomenal in that short amount of time through COVID. So that was the specific component that hurt us in the previous years.
So great job to all 3 of you. Very impressive.
I would point out, like you said, we were in the bottom 5%. The elementary not only got a B, they also got 2 distinctions, which means that you're in the top 25%. So they went from the bottom 5 to the top 25 in both reading and growth. So in those 2 areas, they went from bottom of the barrel to cream of the crop.
Someone give them a hand.
I would show you also the change over time. Again, all of this is on texasschools.gov, so if anybody doesn't believe me, you can go look at it yourself. But in 18, they were at a 77, so we were already starting to see a little bit of trouble. 18, 19 is when they got the overall D, but an F in that federal domain, which was a 62, was their overall score. So then 19, 20, of course, nobody was rated because of COVID. Last year, we chose to get rated. They weren't going to rate us, but we chose to because we knew we had done a good job. And so we did get rated acceptable. And then this past year is when we went to an 87. So from 18-19 school year to this school year, a 62 to an 87. So very well done.
That's a phenomenal job.
Yeah. That was blood, sweat, and a lot of tears. So for the junior, senior high school, this one, 70.6 ECODIS, 18.6 special education, and 3.5 ESL. Again, the elementary is pretty much STAR test. The high school has other components that play into this, including college, career, military readiness, as well as graduation rates in that domain 1 of student achievement. So the STAR performance score, overall we had a 76, and that's 40% of your overall score. CCMR, we had a 92, which is 40% of your overall score, and then graduation rate is a 95 for that year, which is 20% of your overall Domain 1 score. It's 95 because the state and the federal government don't agree on what counts as a dropout. If we say that a kid is homeschooled and we get a letter from mom saying, yes, I'm homeschooling my child, in the federal world, that still counts as a dropout for us. So they don't look at that the same way. And that's kind of why it seems shocking that it's only, our graduation rate says a 95, but if you look at it in other regards, it's actually like a 99, if you take into consideration those homeschool kids. So our overall score on that one was an 86 out of 100 on student achievement. So for Domain 1, they had a B, which is phenomenal. Again, part of that is because of that CCMR and graduation rate. School progress, again, this is how we grew on our STAR test or how we performed versus other schools. So you remember on the elementary side, we ended up taking that 91 academic growth. Up here on this campus, we actually took the relative performance of an 87 because of how we performed versus other schools like us. So if you look at all the other junior, senior high schools, we performed better than they did the majority of the time. So we take an 87 instead of a 73 for the domain there. And then finally, closing the gaps, again, this is the federal domain. When we look at individual student groups, we had an 81 out of 100 in Domain 3. So overall rating for the high school, we had a 85 for 21-22. You can see back in 17-18, we were down at a 78. We brought it up to an 86, and we didn't have a rating for 2 years, and we're back to an 85. So it looks like we held steady, which kind of seems lackluster. But again, remember those 2 years where it says not rated? That was COVID. And when you look at other schools like us, they didn't hold steady. They dropped way down. So for us to hold steady during COVID with that CCMR component, our kids weren't able to get their certifications because there was nowhere to take a test. So that score we anticipate will be much, much higher over these next couple of years. And so we fully expect to be able to get an A on that junior or senior high campus. Overall, as a district, when you take those two campuses and put them together, student achievement was an 87, school progress a 91, closing the gaps, again, that's the federal domain, was a 79. So overall, our district score was an 87.
We're gonna get those 3 points this year. So, Carl's not here, and Jennifer just started, and you just started, and so, but all of our principals understand what we're facing and the direction we're headed, and they've got a great plan in place. We visited last Wednesday about our plan and talked about how we're gonna get our A, and I'm telling you, I put my life on it, we're gonna get an A. I mean, we're there. We're very close. It's just some fine tuning that we've got to do. So I want to thank you for your hard work. So I really do appreciate it. All of you. And 87 in our district is amazing. But wait till next year, we'll have that 90 something up there, and we'll have a big celebration, right?
Does anyone have any questions about any of those scores or the campuses? Okay.
So we'll discuss our food targeted improvement plan.
Yes.
This is me. So to kind of bounce off what Carrie said, we are like so close to that A. So we wanted to work with the service center to find ways that we can get those 3 points, but we're not stopping at 3. We're going to be into a solid A. So this is kind of what she went over already. It shows our progress over the last couple of years. And I wish I could have seen and been in the room when Carrie told everybody that we got to 87. Actually, I wish you could have been in the hallway when she secretly told Charlie and I, because I had a cup of coffee in my hand, and Charlie shook me so hard my coffee ended up all over him because we were so excited about it. You just don't even know how proud I am. And this kind of shows the progress once again. It's just a repetition of what Carrie has already gone over. And the Service Center has a program that they can help us out. We've actually been working with them over the last couple of years, and we're going to continue to work with them. But we are targeting 2 areas, and they are highlighted there. We're going to really work on strong school leadership and planning. That has to do with us being able to give walkthroughs, go in and give a lot of really great feedback to the teachers, give them strong suggestions on what they can do to improve their teaching in the classroom. It has to do with professional development that we do and we continue to grow as leaders. And then the last one that we're working on, and we're working on all of these, but these are the ones that we're really targeting, is the effective instruction. So using data to drive our instruction, to use data to put kids in small groups for RTI and for tutorials and things like that. And then making sure that their lesson plans are just spot on with their assessments and that they're doing a really great job teaching to the rigor and the standards of the STAR test. So I'm excited. We're going to get there. It's going to be great.
Very good. So I want to go back. Carrie, thank you for the 2 presentations you put together. I love all the colors. Rhonda, thank you for giving us that rundown today. I want to go back to the audit because I didn't get to say anything before we moved on. But Debbie, great job with the audit. When they can audit a school that we're running, a budget of about $16 million and they don't have any findings, all of our receipts are there, nobody's stealing, that's an amazing thing. And the fact that we did put some money back, even with putting a $700,000 football field in that we did not budget. So, the ands, we just kept going when Debbie and I were sitting in the office because, I always hope to put more money back than we put. But we ended up putting, what was it, 230? Not 260? Yeah. So, which brings our fund balance to about 6.4. But you and the ladies, every year he comes in, he tells me, you have the best staff. They are so helpful every time we ask for something, and it's very stressful. It's a stressful 7 days that they're there. And not because we're hiding anything, but because it's hard. I mean, they're asking for things, and Debbie's still trying to do her real job, but she's also at their disposal the whole time. So I want to thank you for, again, a clean audit and very impressive. So thank you. All right, what do we have next?
Do we approve that target plan?
Oh, we do have to approve that plan. Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the plan. I'll second.
All in favor? Okay. 22-10-10, discuss and approve CBISD concealed carry requirement.
So a few years ago, we put in policy that we have campus carriers that have to go through training yearly. And, but Chief Collier has taken it a step further. And do you have that? You want to give them real quick to look at?
I don't have the policy.
Okay. Well, I've got the policy right here. And so basically, it says must be an employee at least 24 months or approved documentation of a report acceptable to the superintendent from a licensed psychologist selected by the superintendent. Must possess and provide proof of current concealed handgun license, so they have to have their handgun license. Must obtain written authorization from the superintendent. Must carry a quality semi-automatic handgun, a .380 9mm, 45 caliber, no revolvers. Must use defense ammunition when at school, that's purchased by the district.
Must receive at least 16 hours of combined training in handgun use, crisis intervention, management of hostage situation. Other topics is determined necessary by the Board of Trustees or Superintendent, and we pay for that training. All participants required to target practice at least every other month while school is in session at an approved firing range. Must participate in required update training is determined by superintendent. Must carry a handgun concealed on the body at all times. The handgun must be carried with a full magazine inserted. Handgun will not be carried with a round in the chamber. May not carry a concealed handgun to any school event or activity that is not City View ISD property. It is the employee's responsibility to keep his or her identity as a school-approved concealed handgun carrier confidential at all times. We do not disclose to our staff who's carrying. We don't disclose that to kids or anyone else. And then it has some, if we have school board members who want to carry, there's this almost the same exact things there as well. Anyway, so we passed a policy, but this takes it a step further, and I really like these things that he's put together there on that. So
They have to carry it the whole time?
it does say that.
How do people not see? I'm just curious.
Oh, you have all kinds of concealed carry equipment that you can have on your person. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff out there. And everybody that carries here for CVISD, they do a really good job of concealment. So.
I mean, I'm lucky.
Yes, and we also provide gun safes. I issued 3 gun safes a few weeks ago to various campus carriers, so, you know, for extra safety.
So the one thing we don't want is them to be a campus carrier and something happen and they say, oh, I left my gun at home. We want the gun to be here. We want it to be on their body or in their safe while they're sitting at their desk. Okay? So I just need an approval on that if you're okay with those things.
Make a motion that we approve the, concealed carry requirement.
I second.
All in favor?
And Chief, thank you for putting that together.
You're welcome.
And this next one is Chief Collier completely. I want to tell you, he's worked very hard at bringing us up to the standard that we need to be at. And I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, sir. And I want to add that I'm very impressed with all our campus carriers. I've been carrying a firearm on my hip for a long time now, and they have done a super job, qualifications and everything, so I want to thank them for their efforts. So, the state, as we all know, is on all ISD police departments and SROs to take care of the active shooter annexes and the active shooter requirements for the state. You have to meet these requirements. I mean, probably each week I'm contacted by Region 9 several times, and also the state of Texas from the Texas Safety Center about these audits. And so recently we had our first intruder detection audit, as you see on that page right there. We also did the exterior door audit, and we did the classroom door audit, and we did the weekly exterior door sweeps audit. We passed everything with flying colors. I couldn't have done that without everyone's help on that. Won't go into name calling or anything like that, but it takes a team, it takes a community to get this done, so I appreciate everyone's help with this. But we did pass this with flying colors. He's due to come back November the 4th. He is Pat Page from Region 9. And he's going to conduct the full audit on that day. Yes, sir. So on this school school safety and security audit, we had an initial meeting a few weeks ago, and I need to put out another invitation, I'll probably do that tomorrow, to our safety and security team, because we need to have another meeting. We also need to have a threat assessment meeting. We'll have that in the next week or so, but we're covering all our bases. But on this deal, basically, this is what Region 9, when they conducted their audit a few weeks ago, I got this from Pat Page. Everything that's in yellow, I'm not going to go through all of this and bore you to death, but we're passing everything that we need to pass up to this point. I try to stay on top of it the best I can. I'm very OCD, so don't worry, we're going to take care of business. So, does anyone on the board have any questions about any of this information here?
Just glad you're taking care of it.
Yes, sir. They require you to do at least a weekly exterior door sweep. I've been doing basically every day. I mean, again, I'm OCD, so I kind of go over the top on that stuff because I don't want anybody coming back to City View and saying, hey, you're not taking care of business, you're not supposed to be, you're not doing what you need to be doing. I don't believe that's going to happen. I hope that doesn't happen. I think we're good to go, but I'm still on top of it. So any questions on any of the yellow highlighted on either page?
And I want to thank you for, allowing us to buy new doors, external doors,
Yes.
because last year we would have failed. We could not keep our doors shut last year. They were just too old and broken down.
Deputy Hawkins still helping you out?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
No, I try to. You guys are busy. And, no, I just want to thank him. Having children myself, all the emails he sent out, I know what fentanyl is, what it looks like, things like that. He goes above and beyond, he really does. But that's been great for me, having children myself, is knowing what all this is about. And I really appreciate you sending that stuff out. I'm a picture guy, but knowing what I'm looking for has been great, and I know a lot of the staff have mentioned that as well. So thanks for doing all that extra work that you do for that.
Yes, sir, you're welcome. Thank you for telling me that. I just want to say real quick, and I'll sit down, but I'm in my 3rd year in this position now, and when I took this position, I thought, I got this, no problem, no big deal. I'm telling you right now, I told Tony today, that I still can't take those training wheels off that bicycle just yet. With all my experience over the years and everything, again, I've been humbled several times the last 3 years, and I'm still being humbled today. But I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be able to do this for the school district. It means a lot to me, and I'll continue doing the best job I can do for you. Okay?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You do a tremendous job. Okay, Rudy, let's let you go ahead and kick it off.
All right, athletics is going great. Like you said, we talked about the girls. I couldn't be more proud of this volleyball team that we have. This was 2005, we won district. In 2005, we haven't been even sniffed the playoffs since then. They're sitting at 5-3 right now. They're in really good shape. It's a dogfight right now. We had some upsets. Henrietta upset Bowie, which is good because now if we can take care of business, we can slide all the way up to that runner-up spot. The red team is just out there, but saying that, we almost took a set from them. It was 25-23 in a set, in the second set over there at Holiday over the past weekend. But they came back 1-3 against Vernon, who we beat in 5 the first time around. So it shows that our girls have really showed much more improvement than the Vernon girls did. And so hopefully that continues. We got big games this week. Tomorrow night at Owl Park is a big game for our girls. And then the game on Friday is another really big game. So these next 3 games are really important for them to really set in stone the playoff spot. So we're really, really pushing for them to do that, and I really think they will. They're playing
really, really good volleyball right now, and proud of it.
And Rudy, I want to put in a word for you, so you don't have to brag on yourself here. I'm gonna brag for you. You know, you went through a preseason, you scheduled some really tough opponents. And you told me before we started, you said it's gonna be a tough preseason. But I'm gonna tell you that the coach said it best, the Henrietta coach said it best at the end of the game. And that was that they were out-coached, out-hustled, and they worked. You guys had our boys ready to play, and I was very impressed.
Thank you. The kids played really hard. Flipping over to football, Friday night was great. I mean, they really kind of showed what they can do when they put things together and put their mind to it. But I can't brag on those boys enough that they really kind of just poured their hearts into it, played with a lot of passion and a lot of want and a lot of grit. And it's usually easy for our guys to get up. Our guys really don't like those Henrietta guys for some reason. They just never gotten along ever since I've been here. And anytime I'm playing, our guys get up. But we got another big game this Friday in Callisburg. They were picked second in the district by all the experts. And so we'll go to their place Friday, and should be a really good football game. We need to play well again and try to get out of there. If we can get out of there with that win, we're set pretty good. Just for our alignment of getting to the playoffs and things like that. So still a long way to go. And you're talking about the kids today, so we can't have a hangover from a big win at Henrietta, so we got to go back to work. Like I said, on cross country, the two boys advancing to regionals in Lubbock. That's kind of what we expected. We expected those two to get out, and they ran well today. Jude was a little limped up. They were playing fall league basketball game. He kind of hurt his knee, so we were really kind of looking at him maybe pushing this second place finish if he fell to fifth, but he was a little banged up, so he's got 2 weeks to get healthy. So that'll help. I thought we came out of the football game healthy and came to practice today, and we had a broke thumb, a broke pinky, and a rolled ankle, pretty bad rolled ankle. So, and all 3 of them were linemen. So hopefully we'll get those guys back for this week. But it's amazing when after the game, adrenaline and everything, you don't realize anything's been hurt. Come back next day, you got injuries, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So I'm feeling pretty good, though. What we're going to do. But we also had 2 varsity girl runners today. They got 20th and 21st. They were about 5 places out from advancing as well. But those girls did a great job. Coach Schellenberg putting them in cross country the first time. I mean, he's done an amazing job with those boys and girls. Their times got better every single week. Their times got better. So he's done a good job on that as well. So other than that, everything else seems to be going good. And just really hoping that we can continue to have a good year throughout.
We will. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do technology.
All my stuff pretty much falls around security. Bus tracking system is up and running. I pushed out all the campus admin should have access to that.
Are parents using it?
That's gonna be up to the campus admin. I know they had the option to sign up on their own. We couldn't push it out because each one has their own individual thing. Really, the parent view wasn't the big pull of this, right? It was the cameras. They've already had 2 events where they had to go in my office to figure out what happened. Both were events that it was a he said, she said event, and it came out that most of them weren't really that big of a deal and it wasn't a problem. So it was nice to have cameras to see that.
But the parent view, not really using that.
Yeah, I mean, at the secondary campus, we don't even know currently who's riding which buses. I mean, we know they're getting on the buses, but until I get a list of, hey, here's the route each child's on, we can't really push that out. So my thought would be for next year would be to just every child will be put on a bus route, whether they're riding a bus or not. We'll say, if you were riding a bus, which one would you ride? And that way we can push it out to every student. Again, if it's not being used a whole lot, we don't have to, that part we don't want to. We can say, hey, we've got the cameras are doing what we need them to do. We can leave it at that. We did push out a new product to help us with cybersecurity. That's something Region 9 is pushing really, really hard. So that's going to allow us to prevent any phishing scams. We've always been doing phishing audits where we'll push things out to faculty to see if they're clicking on things they shouldn't be clicking on. But now we have a product that we're demoing out right now that if they do click on something they shouldn't, we can go back and retrieve all that information. So if they accidentally share something with faculty, we can go back and reverse all that, pull it all back, and put it in quarantine and prevent any further issues. So that should be a good product for us to use to protect our security there. And then Carl and Kyle and myself, we walked with camera company Yahweh last week. As y'all know, we've been waiting a long time to get cameras in from our past vendor. Still not in, still have no word on those. But we met with a new vendor last week, and we walked all of the secondary campus, the bus barn, the ag shop, the field house, everything like that. And we're going to be able to cover more, get more visibility with less cameras based on higher quality cameras. So that's going to be nice.
Don't about the license plate thing.
Yeah, it's going to be nice, yeah. So they have more product where they can go out and say, hey, I want to track every license plate. So Kyle can go in there and say, hey, I want to see a red Ford F-150, and it'll pull up every image of a red Ford F-150 that drove through with license plate detection. We'll be able to find that much quicker. So we're going to strategically put those out throughout the campus, so that way we can find those easier. You can also do things like, I want to find somebody with a blue shirt, and it'll pull up every picture of somebody walking with a blue shirt. We can also go as far as to say if there's an individual that we know should not be on campus, we can actually track that as well. So if he does show up on campus, or if she shows up on campus, we can be alerted to that as well. So there's a lot of really good safety features that we can incorporate.
Yeah, I need you to sell them on it because we're going to have to tell them the cost.
But the great thing about this is the product is not like the Castle we were looking at, which was going to be very pricey. But just to let you know, there was a much pricier one out there that was considered way more pricey. And this one's not nearly as bad. And the yearly upkeep isn't nearly as big as that one would have been. So yeah, we have that going, and hopefully we'll get. Dub and I met with them with Austin or Texoma. We prior to that, we walked and did all the doors as well. So we'll have all the doors wired up as well soon. So that way, if any door gets left open, that'll be notification. We're already getting that. For 90% of our doors, we're already getting that. But we're just finishing up getting the last few doors wired in, so we can do that as well. And we can change it to where there's an app they're going to give us that all of our campus admin can have. And if the door gets left open for however much we want to choose, whether it be 5 minutes, 30 seconds, it'll push onto every campus admin's phone. So if the door does get left open, we can investigate that and get it fixed. So there's a lot of things to improve the security around.
And I want to thank you, Brady, for all your help with all that. I mean, it's tremendous.
Well, how many times were we calling him saying, the store's unlocked?
We had to do something.
The store's unlocked.
Well, when I was getting text messages at 2 o'clock at night, I wanted to get that figured out. But I will also say, I messaged the gentleman this morning and asked him what the time would be on those cameras. He said 98% of them are on shelves ready to go. The other 2% were about 3 weeks at time. So we should have those. Once we get the A-OK, we can get this going pretty quick.
I'm excited about the part where we're going to do away with all our blind spots. And I mean, because of the new technology coming in. And also another thing about those LPRs, those license plate readers, when they see the tag, they automatically detect if that car is stolen or not. Wow. So if they're stolen from wherever, it's going to pop up and tell me that. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Colleen, thank you for coming tonight. Yeah, you probably didn't even know I was going to let you talk, but give us a report on how your job's going and how the cafeteria's doing.
Well, I mean, it's overwhelming. I talked a lot with Kyle, and he felt very similar to what I'm feeling, a little overwhelmed. But you have a good staff in there, and I think, it just takes some time. And I think everybody in here I've talked to numerous times, and whether it was asking for help or suggestions, and everyone's been great, so.
Well, welcome to your first board meeting as an employee.
Oh, thank you.
I have a friend subbing here, and she ate breakfast, and I think she ate the salad bar too. She said, oh my gosh, the food was so good. It wasn't anything like WFICD food. She said it was like real food.
Well, Jesse can attest to that.
Oh, yeah. In 19 years that I was in WFICD, I can tell you on one hand how many times I ate it in the cafeteria there. And I ate
tequilas every day.
Yeah, I've had more bacon.
So let's do CTE.
All right.
Okay.
I want to start with this past Wednesday. We took 31 juniors and seniors to Texas State Technical College in Abilene, Abilene West campus. It's the newest TSTC. There's 10 of them statewide, but it's the state's public trade school. They got to tour 5 different programs of study that they offer: aviation repair and maintenance, welding, their health science, general technician, and electrical technician. All 5 of those average somewhere around 16 to 24 months as far as length of program. The cheapest program being $9,000 for the entire program. The most expensive one being $15,300 for the entire program.
And these kids come out, they
Yeah.
can make how much?
On average, $25 an hour, but TSTC statewide, they get funded based on what their kids make, or kids, adults, what their students make on a 5-year average outside of school above minimum wage. And so your top 5% makes somewhere between $65 to $80 an hour 5 years out with the TSTC program. So kids got to hear that. They get to sit in and listen to the professors of that. There's 0 classrooms on TSTC. It is all laboratory-based experience. And so really a different perspective that our kids were able to go and see. We actually have some students who are really interested in attending TSTC. 2 hours to the west of us. So would be really good for them. I think it's just a different perspective. It took myself, Mr. Hopkins, our ag engineering teacher, Mr. Martin, who's our nursing science teacher, and Ms. Leverton, our high school science counselor. And so really enjoyed it. And we took some kids who already have committed plans, but they wanted to see what another option might be. Really good experience out of the day. Come back. Enjoyed taking those students there. On a little bit of a different note, if you haven't been up to see the school farm, you should. It's different than the last time you saw it, I can almost guarantee it. We have a brand new sheep and goat barn that was built by Atmos, but it's up and running. We have all but 4 pens in both livestock barns, respectively, that are going to get filled this year as far as the stock show programs are concerned. So that's a positive as well. Still working on some electricity to some of the external buildings that are there, but expect those hopefully to be finished before the next school board meeting. So really some good things going on. NCP, very proud of where we're sitting at. I also want to thank you. You passed some stuff for IBCs for me at the last school board meeting for our teachers. That went from me trying to push our teachers to do the IBCs to, hey, Mr. Grant, what do I need to do in order to get this? What do we need to pick up? And so that's been really helpful. Our teachers are taking the charge in the classroom instead of me trying to push it their way. So
Maybe in November we could go take a tour. Take a visit. Well, you have the animals in there.
Oh, yeah, that'd be wonderful. I will tell you this, all of that plays into the 92. So if we can get to 100, that gets us where we need to on student achievement for this next school year. So that's the goal for me.
Well, thank you for being on top of it and doing an amazing job as well. Debbie, do you want to say anything? You're a lady of many words.
No, I'm a lady of many words, but y'all heard how things are going in the business office. Finished our audit, it was awesome. My ladies are working great, and they're working really hard. And I finally cleaned my desk off for the first time in 8 months. And ready to go again.
Well, this was an exceptional year. You had to pick up a lot of slack with some changes we had to make, and I'm hoping for a better year and a little easier year. Let's say that. Okay, let's do elementary.
Well, I look kind of sad, I am. But kind of hurts over that 49-0. But,
What was that score?
Hats off to the Longhorns.
It's hard to say.
That's hard.
Especially.
Well, I bet Mr. Rojas, I made a bet with him. I'm going to have to wear a Longhorn.
Oh, yeah.
So if you want to take pictures, come on by. So I'm gonna need your help, our teachers, all of you guys up here, we're gonna need your help on the 17th of October. We're gonna have our science fair. So we're gonna be inviting you to our science fair to be judges for our kiddos and their projects. So if you're willing to come, let us know.
Next Monday.
Next Monday, 6 o'clock is when the judging begins. So if you want to come on by, spend a little time, see the good things going on at the elementary, and we're going to give out awards. So Mr. Bashan, we're invited to. We're going to have a Superintendent's Choice Award for the science fair. So it'll be fun. And then attendance awards, I don't really want to talk a whole lot about attendance, but I will about the awards. We had a drawing, had 256 perfect attendance kiddos for the 6 weeks.
256, say that again.
256 perfect
That's
attendance.
incredible.
And somehow it dropped, but we'll get back up. We had a drawing raffle kind of deal, drew 5 names. We gave away some bikes, scooters, and some headphones. So try to make it big this time, but it was on get here to school. Our enrollment, I believe, was 503, 96.77% for the first 6 weeks.
96 point what, I'm sorry?
77.
That's good.
Round up to 87%.
Most math people like to round up. So.
Ours is over 97.
It's okay, it's still round down.
One team, right?
Yeah.
Competition.
We did drills this past week and they went well. We did a storm drill, we did a fire drill, so they both went well. Our teachers and our students, it's just seamless. So we figured out some things with the storm drills. We want to try to get as many kids as possible in the interior rooms and out of the hallways as we can. So we've done some cleaning and things like that to open up some rooms on the inside. That'll help with that. And then the Turn It In program, we're going to award our kids. That's for our kids that have no discipline referrals, trying to work in on time, no zeros. We're going to award them on Friday. We're going to do snow cones and free recess, an extra recess. So we have about 100 kiddos or so. So for third, fourth, and fifth graders.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's hard for me to speak to that. I've been busy crying.
He's cried all day. Kelsey Grace has done a really good job. She has been in contact with Serenity House. They're going to come and do a bullying presentation with our kids, early childhood through 5th grade. They're going to come October 20th. They're also going to come back during Red Ribbon Week and do a drug prevention presentation with our early childhood through 5th grade students. So we're excited to team up with them. We do have Red Ribbon Week coming up. We have that coming up. We have sent out the dress out themes. Those will go home with kids tomorrow, so we're excited for that. We have our Thanksgiving feast November 17th, so y'all are more than welcome to come have a great meal with us. So we're excited for that.
And thanks to Miles for doing an online ticket sale only, so that will help. We're not having to count cash afterwards.
That's good, thank you.
Oh, fun.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Forgot about that. Well, I don't know the total.
It wasn't on our list.
Yeah, I forgot about that. We did pretty good. Not as well as last year, but gosh, we brought in at over $20,000. So I'll say 24,000, and then we'll get to keep 40% of that. So
give us the math.
Do the math.
All around 10, between $10,000.
So last year I think we brought back about 13, 14,000. So.
Hey, and I want you to tell us too, these prizes you gave away for the attendance, a lot of that was donated, right?
Oh yeah, Mr. Patel. Yeah, Mr. Patel. He's one of the family members of our kiddos at the elementary, and he just wanted to. He did something last year too. He gave some money last year for.
He donated stuff last year for the end of the year. He also was the one. Well, he was one of the ones that helped fund the Rock Pit project. So they're a really involved family in.
He's been really good. I mean, he's just like whatever you need, and then I think he pretty much every dollar we spent was donated. So
very good.
And then yeah.
Okay, and is somebody going to talk about trunk or treat?
I forgot.
I have it on me.
Okay.
So we have finished our map testing. We had training today that was phenomenal on how to read the reports and how to put kids in instructional groups and teach teachers were so excited about the math testing and what they're learning out of that. So I'm really looking forward to the middle of the year, is we'll get to have these pretty little graphs and it shows how far the kids have grown. So it's going to be a really good thing. I'm excited that we're getting to do that. And we have another set of instructional rounds coming up on this Thursday. We've already done one set. So we've got a different group of teachers that are going to be participating this next time. On Friday, we have a school from down the road that's going to be coming and visiting. They want to kind of see how the three of us function as a leadership team, and they want to talk to us about how we do our walkthroughs and how we give teachers feedback and stuff like that. So it's kind of neat that the service center is, I guess, presenting us as someone who can give some great things that are going on and give advice and stuff like that. So I'm thankful for that. I already talked about the Eagle Scout Project Ag Day. I've been working with Miss Lippy, and she and some of her officers, I think her officer team is trying to put together an Ag Day. So we're going to be working with the high school kiddos. They're going to have some ag-based projects that they're going to let our kids participate in and look at and talk to them about, and kind of gives them some community service half hours, but we're also hoping that it will help the ag program, because the kids will see how much fun they can have and some opportunities that they have. So hopefully this will benefit the ag program down the road. November 10th, we have our first music program. Our 4th graders will be putting on a performance that night, so come out and see us then. November 7th, we have parent-teacher conferences, and the bus app that you guys were talking about, we actually have that on our agenda for the teachers to talk to the parents about, as well as our homeschool contact, how the kids did on math testing, and a few other things. And then we have our book fair going on that whole week, November 7th through the 11th.
A lot going on.
A lot going on.
Did y'all hear what she said though? People are coming to our school to see how we're doing it. That's impressive. Because it wasn't too many years ago, we were going to everybody else's school to see how they were doing it. So it's kind of refreshing, and thank you for that. I know you guys all have jobs. Well, almost all of you have jobs. If you could,
I'm a Miami.
Oh, that's true. You do have a job. You do have a job. I wish that you could just go spend a couple hours in the elementary. It's amazing. That's all I tell you. All right. High school.
Okay. So we've talked about attendance. One of our things is basically if kids want to be here, they will come, especially at secondary. You know, at elementary, it's a little bit, you're more at the mercy of your parents, dropping you off at high school, especially, but even in middle school, it becomes, we want to keep that engagement at a high level so they see that all the way through to graduation. So that first 6 weeks we were at 97.02%, but when Lana sent the reports today, one thing that really stood out to me was there was another report just for this past week, and we were at 97.17%, so about 0.2 above where we were that first 6 weeks. So that's just hoping we want to be able to sustain that. Everybody's excited when school starts, but once you get 7, 8 weeks in, especially the kids that are wanting to come, so we're trying to battle that. Our 7th graders and our 8th grade, our middle school are really helping with that, but our 7th graders, I was just telling Miles this last week, they were at 99.44%, which out of total attendance days, it was about 360 because it was a short week. We've got about 90 in that class. There were 2 absences. So that means one kid missed 2 days or 2 kids missed 1 day. Everybody else was present the entire week. So we're really trying to build on that. We did big incentives. You may have seen those too, where we drew 5 names out. We had about 174 that perfect attendance that first 6 weeks. Drew 5 names out of that. They got 18 bags of hot Cheetos and just a bunch of junk. I was like, man, I don't get sick of this and be absent for a week. But we did body armors and different things too, like that, health food. Basically, whatever you can find on TikTok with the kids are eating that was not something that was either illegal or hurt them. And so it was nice because we did air the lunches too. Actually see, the other kids were like, wait, how did they get that again? And we talked about with perfect attendance, and so that was really cool. We talked about too, like, that it's important for teachers to be here because, you know, every missed day of instruction for a kid, it's that same way it works both ways. And we know teachers have to be out, all of that stuff. I was out a day with my wife, so I wouldn't have been in that perfect attendance the first 6 weeks, but we took all of the teachers, which it was a very high percentage of teachers that didn't miss a day that first 6 weeks. And so for this 6 weeks, I drew 3 names of those, and then what they'll do is they'll get back with me. We're going to give them, I'm going to go, or one of the other administrators, and cover their class for a period. If they want to take an extended lunch, if they want to just go around and do something, basically we will sub for them for that period so that they can just, you know, if they want to run off campus and grab something to eat or something like that too, if you just get caught up on stuff or just take a breath. I anticipate we probably will get their best classes that they choose, or maybe the class that they'll think, oh, okay, there's 30 kids in this class and they're our most popular, but that'll be good. I'm looking forward to it. So it sounds like it's a challenge.
Take a break.
Yes. And what really I think is happening at the elementary and even the secondary too is that beyond just those simple incentives, the programs and the things that are going on. You probably heard the band was still playing, at 7 o'clock. If like we have PSAT coming up this week with our sophomores, but this week also the fall play opens for the junior high kids. It starts on Thursday, it runs through the weekend. Trunk or treat is October 25th, where basically community is invited to be able to come and we have different staff members who have signed up for that. And October 27th, that evening here in the library is a financial aid meeting for kids who need help filling out FAFSAs, getting signed up for SAT and SAT. So if you notice, all of those that I just listed, with the exception of PSAT, are outside events, outside of the school day. So I just am really proud of our staff and our teachers for the commitment that they're putting outside the normal school day, and the same thing with our kids. Because for them, a lot of the things that they're involved in, whether it's extracurricular or whatever, it's like a job that they have. And they take that seriously. So basically, I think that has yielded some really good results. Again, not just through incentives, but in attendance, but being able to take those kids, and that's where we're really pushing out our message is going to be, just so that you guys know, throughout this year, as we go through and do the goal setting for evaluations, we want that to be a valuable time for teachers to be able to reflect. We're asking them to, whatever the best thing is they do here. Maybe it's some intervention that they do with kids. Maybe it's a social club that they sponsor. Whatever that is, because we know they're pulled in a million different ways. To take that one thing that is their strength and build that. Because we have such a good foundation that we want to be able to take that and build on that. And we're really starting to see that. And I want the teachers to be able to see that the hard work's paying off, that all these successes that we've seen, that didn't come by accident, that they're very intentional, and they didn't come overnight. But just like kind of what everybody's talked about before me, whether it's the esports, where it's a brand new thing, and we are beating schools that have been doing this for a couple of years now. Or like the Color Guard and the band going to AT&T Stadium and finishing the top 5 or the top 3 for Color Guard, and then with volleyball and football, some of our sports, we are beating teams that either we have never beat before in our program's history, or going to places that we've never beat them at their place and doing that. And I think that just, Mr. Duchamp mentioned in one of our leadership meetings about success breeding success. And I think that's where we're at. So we're really just trying to embrace that and say, we want to be a windshield campus. I think in a windshield district where there's a reason why. There's a lot more windshield space in there as rear view mirror. And it's important to have the rear view mirror so that we can look back and make adjustments and address things that we need to do. But we're moving forward and just taking the mentality and that mind shift for our kids and our students, like, you can either be on board with us and we're moving forward, or you're going to be left behind. But where we're going is where you want to be. And I think that's resonating with our kids.
Well, I want to say thank you, and I want to tell you in front of the whole board that this first 6 weeks you're exactly what we needed. You're exactly what we were looking for. I'm now seeing things at this campus that I've seen over the last year, 2 years at the elementary, I'm seeing it being pulled together, so.
That's what I was gonna say, because being able to work with all of these people that have been able to share things with me that, thought, let's just take that and run with it, and so, same thing with, Sid and Carl, I think that's part of the reason why it's going into something that's already successful, and then just ramping that up, and not having to, it's not reinventing the wheel, it's just taking that wheel and making it the best it can be.
Thank you. I do appreciate you.
Hey, I forgot, and this was kind of my number one on my list to say, because I'm more proud of this than the win on Friday. We have 143 kids in football, 7 through 12. This is the first time that we had no failures.
No failures.
Add on to that, I think I told Rudy this, I know I told Carl. Like, I know Burke, when their junior high teams, they had to cancel some, they had to get rid of their B team because they had so many failures that they had to go into an A team. And so, for us to be on the exact opposite of that, and have 100% of our football players.
I can promise you this, and the entire board, this has been the best start to school that we've ever had. Best start. Best start with our kids, best start, even coming out of a dark cloud, best start. And it's because of the leadership. So thank all of you. Appreciate you. Anybody have anything else to add?
I got two things. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Trunk or treat is being coordinated through Miss Casper. If you need anything, anybody wants to set up a booth or a trunk?
Yeah. How many booths do we have?
I don't know.
School board, we always do one together.
That's, she sent out a Google form, but if you know anybody that wants to sign up,
Oh, okay.
Miss Casper, I'll have her send it out again tomorrow morning. And then our school store, we have t-shirts, hoodies, long sleeve t-shirts. The kids are making them. They're doing a great job. Got about a 24-hour turnaround on most things.
And we got cups ordered.
We've got cups ordered. We've got clear bottles ordered that we can put Cindy Logan running Mustang, Texas logos on.
3 years ago, you wanted our products out, and we're there. Now, it took us 3 years, and I'm sorry, but we're there. If you look on the website, they redesigned it. You can order your stuff. We're adding cups to it. We're going to slowly add things. I think we started and it was too big. Like we were offering 18 different shirts and just trying to keep up with that. So we're down to like 6 or 7 shirts. We're adding some, I want to add some earrings. I don't know why earrings. I just keep thinking some earrings would sell. We need some Mustang earrings. So the store's doing great. And we hired the right person for that. And it's just been great. Anybody else? Anything else? Thank you for all that you do. I'm going to talk to you all about this next one in closed. Okay? Yeah, the budget thing. Okay? So everybody can go home. I would like to.